Well, we have Phillips and Banks with us here today. Thank you guys for joining us and being a part of this with Truth and Love Radio Network.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
We
Yeah,
are
definitely.
excited. Just really, we love coming every year to the National Quartet Convention and being here. So our audience is a younger audience. So our target audience is the younger millennials, Gen Z. That's primary who our audience is.
Absolutely.
So we want them to get to know, these are not just artists you're hearing singing. We want them to know these are real people. So what I want you to do is introduce yourself individually and then as a group, kind of how the group came together, and let them know a little bit about yourself. So
Sure.
we'll start over here.
My name is Jacob Phillips, and this is my wife Carmen, and then my best friend Caleb Banks, and his wife Autumn. And so, obviously, we're two married couples, and a lot of people think the girls are sisters. They're not sisters. None of us are related except
By the blood of Jesus.
Amen, brother. But so anyway, we started the group about 8 years ago, but we've known each other for quite a bit longer than that, probably about 15 years. And we all worked together at a Christian Performing Arts Center before we started the group. And we performed at that theater every weekend. It was in our hometown. And through a series of events, Carmen and I had kind of felt like God wanted us to move on, but we really didn't know what the next step was. And it was definitely a faith journey and a big step of faith, but we left our positions there at the theater, and I started just doing anything and everything I could to scrape together enough money to pay our bills. And a friend of ours passed away. We went to and sang at her funeral. It was just me and Carmen and Autumn, and
I was running sound.
but we sang there, and then there was a pastor there that came up to us and asked us if we would come and sing at his homecoming. He enjoyed the music, and so I like to say that it all got started at a funeral. Oddly enough,
Good, interesting place to start. Yeah.
it was odd, but it was almost like we were a group before we realized we were a group, because I guess people had seen us perform at the theater, and not necessarily as Phillips and Banks, but just together in shows and stuff. And so people started calling and booking us, and before I knew it, we had a calendar full of dates, and we didn't even have a name for the group or a sound system or anything. And so I thought, well, I guess we need to catch up with God on this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the group started. We are best of friends, and we've known each other for a long time. So
Well, that helps to be good friends.
It
Especially
does.
when you start traveling together.
It
and,
does.
Tight quarters, you better be good friends.
Yes. Definitely understand that. Our ministry started so many years ago and had a team of people traveling. And whether you like each other or not, you're going to figure it out pretty quick. So,
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the music as far as what is it that you're looking for as you put together music. And obviously you've got a theater background, so that, it's not necessarily a normal start, I guess you would say.
Right.
But then again, that fits in well with us because we're just not normal people. But tell us a little bit about how that came together.
I think we grew up with a background. I mean, Caleb sang with his family in bluegrass gospel growing up, and then we grew up in church, knowing hymns and just the old songs, whatever it is, and we're all originating from different denominations, but we all have, there are songs that we all know. And Caleb, sometimes he's like,
What is
actually,
it?
I never heard that song before, and I'm like, that's from like 1800.
Well, it's funny to watch these three too. We do a Facebook Live on Tuesday night, so each one of them, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, the three of them, we have different hymnals, and all three of them pick a different one that they grew up with. This is the one I use. No, this is the one I use. And I'm like, well, if the Hensons did it, I probably know it.
So I think coming from all those different things, we kind of came a little bit eclectic in what we liked.
Yeah.
We also used to lead worship, like contemporary worship, before we left the theater. So we kind of weird, but so our music now is definitely Southern gospel. but sometimes maybe a little flair of dramatic in there. Sometimes, you know.
With the theater
A little
background,
bit
there's
of
got to be
flair
some
of
flair.
something
There's
else.
got to be some
So
of that.
I
Yeah.
feel like if you knew all of our background, you'd probably hear like, oh, that's
makes
why
sense.
they're doing
Okay,
that.
yeah.
That's where that's not
That's
here,
Phillips
you
and
know.
Banks. They're weird.
Yeah, they're strange.
One cool thing that I like about our music, I guess, is that on every record, I really feel like there's a lot of variety. And so, like, there are going to be 2 or 3 songs that, you know, all the traditional Southern gospel lovers out there are really going to enjoy. And then there's going to be a few songs that maybe would touch another age group of people or whatever, you know. And so I really feel like we have a lot of variety, and I think that stems just from our backgrounds
Just who
and,
we
you
are,
know, who
you
we
know.
are. So,
Well, earlier I was making a little fun of your age, thinking you're hitting there, forgetting that. But again, so coming from somebody who is probably close to double that, you know, again, our target audience is that younger audience. So do you see them gravitating against some of the old stuff as well as the new? What are you seeing in that with the next generation?
It's some of the kids, like I've seen the kids, especially with Not Today, because that track, it has like brass and all this, and it's kind of a thumping track, you know what I mean? So to them, I watch these little kids, like, I like to watch them in the pew. I'm like, yes! You know,
Get a little movement there.
we see a little bit of different everywhere we go.
yeah, I mean, I see the younger generation kind of latching on to, you know, things that I didn't really necessarily anticipate them to, and so it's been cool to watch. I think it's way different than when I was a teenager. I feel like when I was a teenager, I was listening to things that I probably didn't have any business listening to, and so I feel like in a lot of the places that we go, kids are gravitating more towards this music, and I think it's an awesome thing, you know. I think they want variety too. So.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you, and this is what we're finding, which is, again, our target audience. This Gen Z is, you know, the 27, 28 on down or whatever. They're looking for authentic. They're looking for real. I mean, the social media, they're all on it, but they also know it's all fake.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they just know, hey, I'm just occupying my time because this was out here. And yet when something true comes in front of them, their heads are picking up. And maybe a little bit different than even your generation, I guess referred to as millennial, and those of us who are Gen X kind of baby boomer on that end of it. This is a unique generation that I think we're seeing them gravitating to this music.
Yeah.
So having that variety as well.
I think it takes us back to our roots too. You know, like for me, this kind of music takes me back to my roots and when I really found out who Jesus really was. You know, the truth of the gospel, and so not to say that other genres of Christian music aren't real or authentic, or I think there's good and bad in all of it. But I also think that when we step on stage every weekend, every time we go and do a concert, we have that mindset. We want to be as real and as vulnerable as possible because we're just real human beings with real struggles, and we need the Lord just as much as anybody else does. And so, yeah, we strive to be transparent and authentic and genuine. So
I know on our end, we're getting all this music and we've got to play, and you don't only put too many songs in 24 hours, and you're trying to
Yeah.
figure out, okay, what do we do there? Obviously, as you guys put together music, what is it that you're looking for? There's maybe some people that write music, and I'm not sure if you guys do any of the writing. What is it that you're looking for to meet those criteria of what you're trying to do?
I think honestly the biggest thing that I look for specifically, and I think I can speak for all of us, is words, good
Yes.
words. You know, biblically sound words, and also just not fluff. Like if you hear people talk about 7-11, like worship songs and stuff, it says the same 7 words 11 times over and over. For me, it's just good words and making sure that it can connect with people, not just fluffy words, but like real, actual encouragement and truth from Scripture. I think that's
Yeah,
important.
absolutely.
I was listening to a preacher recently say, you know, that we have a even bigger job as musicians because when a preacher says he's going to stand up there and teach, we're automatically kind of like, I don't know what he's saying. I'm going to wait and see if if he's for real or what he's saying is true. But it's like music opens yourself up to listen, and it just breaks down this barrier. So if you're not putting things out there that are true, then we are doing a serious disservice to what the gospel's called us to.
Yeah.
So I think it is very important to us.
Yeah.
Music is powerful. We say all the time, that's why when we go to select music, it's getting to their soul.
Yeah.
It's reaching in there. So what message are you putting in there?
Yeah.
And as someone who's been preaching for, well more than 40 years now, having music that gets that message in, whether to start with or even at the other end of it,
Yeah.
it makes our job so much easier.
Right.
Because like you just said, they may be hearing what I'm saying, but they're hearing it with, okay, I really want to pay attention, and I'm going to see whether or not I like what he's saying or I trust what he's saying. But when you do it with music, you're reaching them, you're getting them. So
Yeah.
thank you for
a big job.
It is. It is a
Feels like.
huge responsibility, which is why we feel like as we present it out there and it gets out on the air, we know we're going to reach them, pull them in, and to be able to present a truth to them
Absolutely.
that hopefully is going to change their lives. So, how do they find your music? How do they find you?
It's easy. It's just go to phillipsandbanks.com, and you can find everything there. The links to the social media are there.
Streaming services.
Streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming services were available there. And something that we're really trying to push right now is our YouTube channel. And so if any of you are watching out there, go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
It's also just Phillips and Banks.
Yeah, just Phillips and Banks. And something that we're doing right now, we've never done this and we're still kind of newbies, but we're putting out a weekly podcast.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has. And it's just like, it's really laid back and fun and funny, I hope. And so we have a great time with that. And it just kind of lets people in a little bit closer, to know who we are and what we do, and when we don't have to have the suit on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
that's
when
good.
we can just relax and be ourselves.
Let my hair down.
Yeah, all that hair
Yeah,
you got.
you work on that as soon as you get there. No, absolutely. I love that because this is why we want to introduce you to our audience. You're not just artists that they hear music singing. We want them to get to know who you are.
Yeah.
Because, these aren't just people just putting together music to, make tons of money like, everybody does. Right.
Oh, is that what we're supposed
Yeah,
to be doing?
yeah. Well,
Man, we're
apparently we're all doing it wrong, but it does allow them to get, hey, it's real people dealing with real issues from a biblical standpoint, and life can be done that way.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, I appreciate it. In fact, we're going to make sure that on our YouTube channel, we're going to be linking you guys with all your social media so they can contact you. You mentioned Spotify and all those things. We always encourage them to download your music, but then we tell them, but they go buy something physical.
No.
Because it does make a difference. They can enjoy the music just by downloading, but they can support you by purchasing something physical that allows you to continue. So we make sure our audience knows to do that
It
and
does.
encourage.
It does help.
Yes.
If you come see us in concert too, that's another thing I can't show you a picture of, but you may see it posted online. The girls, we got some pretty cool gear coming out too that I think.
Good.
I love the new T-shirts. I think they're very, what's the word for it? They just think about what they're doing. It's not like I'm going to slap something on a shirt that people buy. we want the shirt to say something.
Say
So,
a good message.
yeah, so if you see us in concert, come by and be like.
So is your
"Listen to
itinerary,
it."
I'm assuming, is on your
Yeah,
website?
on the
so we can see
Facebook
that.
page, yeah.
So
Check
we
it out.
have a huge national audience. So tell us a few places you guys are going next. So maybe.
Well, somebody mentioned earlier that you're from LaGrange, which is
Yep.
near Atlanta, right?
Yes.
So we will be in Gainesville,
Okay.
Georgia. I think that's above Atlanta.
So yeah, so it's going to be the opposite corner.
Oh,
But which is fine because everybody that's anywhere near there knows Atlanta's an hour away from Atlanta.
Yeah.
So if you get stuck in traffic, you're going to
Amen.
be there for at least 5 hours.
Yeah.
However, everybody there knows it.
So
yeah.
we're going to be there in November. I believe it's in Gainesville, Georgia.
Gainesville, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to be there at the beginning of November. You can check our Bands in Town. We have a Bands in Town page, and
Great.
we would love for you to go and subscribe to that, because what's so cool about Bands in Town is you get it's free. All you got to do is provide an email and a password, create an account, and then you can like our page or whoever artist you want to follow, and it'll give you,
email
instant notifications about when they're going to be in your area. So that's a good way to keep up with what we're doing.
Absolutely. We encourage our listeners, and they know how to do this. If you've traveled as far as you have to get there, they can drive a couple hours to come see it.
So, right.
It's,
Yeah.
it's worth it. So we
How far
encourage
is
them
Jacksonville
to-
from you all? Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida. So that is where my wife is originally from.
Really?
So from LaGrange, you can't get there from there.
I didn't think so.
You have to go to Atlanta. Everything goes to Atlanta. In fact, I'm convinced.
Atlanta's in the middle of the state,
Yeah.
so they're going to be a long way from
Yeah,
Jacksonville.
but we usually can get there in about 6 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I was going to say, if you're in that area in a couple of weeks, we're going to be down there for a week.
So we have listeners in Florida, so
Oh,
we will
well,
tell them
You're in the
So,
Jacksonville area.
to head toward Jacksonville.
Yeah, Laney Road Baptist Church in
Okay.
Jacksonville, Florida. We're doing a week-long revival, and
Jacob's going to be preaching.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo!
yeah, I'm going to preach every night, and we're going to sing, and so maybe come out for a couple nights and
Yeah.
have fun with us.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Well, thank you guys for taking a few minutes to be with us.
Thank you for letting
And
us be a
anything
part
we
of
can
it.
do to help you guys, we're going to, again, plug you on our website, let our people know to connect with you, and I think it'd be great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.